Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Hope everybody's doing well. You know me, I'm Tom. Okay, the topic of this video is going to be money, okay? I get more questions. The number one question I get asked all the time about the handyman business or business in general is how I charge, how I look at a job, how do I figure it out, what to set a price on that job, how do I bid on it, okay? So, there's a lot of things that go into bidding on a job. For a larger company, it gets even more intense because you've got employees, you've got multiple trucks, multiple equipment, probably interstate, you know, so, but let's not deal with that. Let's just talk about one thing, the individual, okay? You and a buddy, okay? Now what I've done is I've come up with a basic formula, and I'll show this in detail to you and go over it with you, but I just want to do a quick review. I'll give you an oversight of how I work my numbers, okay? Now, again, this is the number one asked question on my handyman videos, is all about money. When you go look at a job, how do you bid on it? When you look at a really small job, it seems pretty easy. You know, there's two ways to bid on a job. You can either go flat rate or you can go hourly, okay? Either way, it doesn't matter, because here's how I look at it. Time. Time is the most precious commodity that I have. If I walk out that front door, what's the one thing that I'm bargaining with is my time, correct? Okay, so if I'm driving all over town and not getting a whole lot accomplished, then really I've wasted my time, correct? Now, when I used to work for a rental management company, I used to do a lot of bid chasing, okay? They say, oh, we want you to go over to Cary, we want you to go to Apex, we want you to go to Fuquay Marina and bid on this job, okay? Now, the problem with big rental management companies is when they have you, they also have several other vendors that they will use to compete against your bid. Now, when I worked with Block & Associates, that was the problem. At first, for the first couple, 3 years, every bid that I put in was approved because I had a couple of agents working in the back that only wanted to use me because of the reputation and the quality of my work, okay? But, like with all big companies, they get greedy, okay? Every company gets eventually greedy, and they start wanting to shave a little bit of money here, save a little bit of money there, and what ends up happening is that you can bid on a job, but then they'll come back on you and ask you to rebid the job, you know, try to get your numbers tighter. And I know you guys have all heard that, right? Well, I quit Block, and I went out on my own, but what I did was I retained all the customers that I already had from their agency, because the customers that ended up knowing me, or I worked directly for them or communicated with them or corresponded with them over the last 7 years, they won't go through Block anymore. They'll use them as a rental management company, but as far as their handyman, they only called me. Okay, Beer 30. What a great day today, too. Made a crap load of money on one house. It sold, and I was there for 8 hours today, made $570. No materials. It was all labor. The owner provided all the parts, and I went in and knocked out the job. Huge, huge job, but I went in there with a vengeance and got it all done in one day. Salute to everybody. Yeah, I'm drinking Pabst Blue Ribbon. I went to the wrong store. Okay, now, this is how I work my numbers in my head and also with people. Now, all the customers that I have right now, they all know how I work. They all do. Residential, commercial, and industrial. They know what my flat rate is, okay? And I'll explain it again. $50 an hour. Now, bring this up closer so you guys can see it. Hopefully this is in the screen so you can make a photocopy of it. Hopefully I got it there where you guys can see it. Okay, you got that written down? Okay, but I'll explain it in detail. I charge for residential $50 an hour, okay? Which is actually really cheap considering go hire an HVAC guy, go hire an appliance guy, go to your car auto mechanic, go anywhere you want to go. Everybody's between $70 and $120 an hour. I don't care where you live. They're just that high, okay? And they'll tell you that they're up that high, up front. So me being at $50 an hour with, you know, almost 40 years of experience, I feel that's a pretty reasonable deal. And nobody bitches about it. They go ahead and pay. Now, the way I work this is $50 an hour times 8 hours a day, okay? 8 hours a day will net $400 a day, okay? Now, in the back of my mind, that's my goal. That's the ultimate goal. That's when I live good. That's when I know I'm making money. I can save money, invest money, reinvest it in the company, reinvest in my business, reinvest it in the tools, you know, save, put it on the farm, you know, do whatever I want to do. If I make $400 a day, that's my target. I always want to achieve that every single day. Now, sometimes I go a little bit lower than that. I'll take $200 or $300 in one day. Like yesterday, I had 3 small jobs, but they totaled $325. I'll take that all day long too. You got to accumulate it because your bottom line is that you want to accumulate your hours. You want 8 hours a day. But if you only work 6, that's fine, okay? Now, $400 a day multiplied by 5 day work week, that's $2,000 a week, okay? Now, if you're making $1,500 a week or $2,000 a week, that's good. The thing is that you've got to find out what your expenses are. That means everything. Insurance, food, gas, you know, liability insurance, business taxes, you know, mortgage. If you got kids, you got car payments, whatever you got to know what your monthly amount that you need to make to cover all your bills, plus be able to save, plus be able to reinvest, and also have some pocket money, okay? To go out, take the old lady out to the theater every now and then, or a dinner. Okay, now, here's a part that a lot of you guys don't understand. You have short months and you have long months, okay? Like March has 31 days in it. There are some months that have 5 weekends in it, but there are also some months that only have 4 weekends. So you do an annual projection. So when you multiply your $2,000 a week, you've got to multiply it by 4.33. That's the calculator, is what they call the money factor, the rule of 78, when you calculate your annual salary, okay? And in this case here, for the month would be $8,660, okay? Now, remember, $400 a day multiplied by 5 will give you $2,000 a week. You work a 5-day work week, you multiply 2,000 by 4.33, and that'll give you $8,660. So, you think, okay, $8,660, I'll take that every month. Great. Now, what you got to do is then you got to calculate your annual. You take the same formula, your $8,660, and you multiply that 12, and that should gross you $103,920, okay? Now, being that I'm an S corporation in the state of North Carolina, I'm taxed at 7%, okay? I don't have employees. I don't pay workman's comp. I don't have any of the frivolous, you know, things that, you know, cost me a bigger tax amount because I'm in the state of North Carolina and I'm an S corporation, okay? So, when I take out the $7,274, that's the taxes I pay on the 103, I'm making right around $96,000 a year. Okay, now, last year's taxes, which I just filed and paid, I paid about $6,700 in taxes. Now, what I look at always is that I average. I want to do averages, okay? I need to make between $90,000 and $100,000 a year based on a 5-year plan that I have. Beer 30 again. Now, since I've been in business for the last 7 years, I've done a little, right close to almost about $670,000. Now, every year, the state of North Carolina will either raise or lower their state tax on small businesses. But right now, we have a very friendly small business corporate tax environment with the state of North Carolina and also with the federal government. They don't want to hurt small businesses because they know that's the backbone of America. Now, if I wanted to hire people, I can. All I can do, there's 2 ways to hire people. You either hire them full-time, and then you got to do workman's comp, and then you put them on your tax rolls. Okay? You got to take out insurance, FICA, state, Social Security, and all that. It's a lot of paperwork. I choose not to do that. So when I hire somebody, I send them a 1099 as a subcontractor. Okay, now, there's a lot of questions about insurance. Most of the people that I hire are on their fathers or their parents, because I hire guys between the age of 21 and 25 years old. They have their own health insurance plan. I do not need to have a workman's comp policy, but they have to still work under my business license, which is also working under my commercial liability insurance coverage, okay? That allows me up to 3 people, okay? Now, I have an unlimited policy. It's $500,000. In other words, I can go out and burn a house down for $400,000. I pay no deductibles, and they'll just bill the person or send them a check for $400,000, and there's no fault, no penalty to me. I've only had 1 claim in 7 years. Okay, it was a windshield. I broke a windshield with my lawnmower. But the point is that when you start a small business, you've got to determine how much debt you have. Sit down with a piece of paper. I've always been a manual. I'll take a pencil and paper and I write down every freaking bill that I've got. Internet, gas, food, insurance, mortgage, HOA dues, anything, everything. If I have to pull my wallet out and pay somebody, that's a bill, okay? That's an expense. I have my trailer. I have to, rent a space for $45 a month. Everything is an expense. But also everything under an S corporation is a deduction, okay? When you go to file your taxes at the end of the year, everything is a deduction. The way I get over is this, is that every single year I have to buy something that's at least $20,000. Last year I bought the Kubota tractor. Remember, the reason why I have my business set up as Mr. Fix-All Home and Garden, the garden part is important to me because that's landscaping. Landscaping, I can buy a skid steer, a bobcat, a backhoe. I can buy anything I want to and put it under the landscaping part of the business. Now, if I was in construction or handyman business and I go out and buy a tractor, they're going to say, what the hell's that for? Has nothing to do with being a handyman. But, if you go out and buy a truck, a van, you buy tools, compressors, you get my point. Then that's legitimate expenses. That's a write-off, okay? And I also do accumulated depreciation on all my equipment every single year, or I do a one-time write-off. Like the Kubota, I wrote the whole $14,000 off in 1 year. So in reality, the Kubota tractor is actually free to me. Yes, I make payments on it, but I already wrote it off, so I don't ever have to pay taxes on it anymore. And being that it's on the farm, it's under recreational farm use, I don't pay any property taxes for that tractor. It's a one-shot deal, okay? Now, all my other equipment, I got 3 trucks and 5 trailers. I get a personal income tax statement from that for property tax. Now, that's Wake County, but I keep everything in Orange County where it's free because it's part of the farm part. So I only pay one time on property taxes, what they call real property. Now, when you start looking at your business model and you want to figure out how to put it all together, and you ask yourself one major question: how much money do I have to make hourly, an hourly rate? What do you charge a customer? $25 an hour, 30, 35, 45, 40, $50. Whatever it is, you got to be able to also judge how much time can you book and bill every single week. The landscaping side of my business, I always get $2,500 a month, okay? I spend one day on Fridays landscaping. I got 13 yards, and at the end of the year, I make right around $33,800 in income off landscaping, but also that's a major expense too, because you got fertilizers, gasoline, equipment, maintenance, repairs, all those different things that you can deduct from that $33,800. Now, at the end of the year with my CPA, I'll also sit down and ask him a question, is how much write-offs do I have versus my gross income? And let's say I have $60,000 in write-offs, and I made $95,000. That leaves $35,000. Now, with the state of North Carolina, I would pay taxes, 7% tax on the $35,000. You do the math. So what I try to always do is try to go out and buy something for around, $12,000 to $17,000 to $18,000 every single year, and then it brings me down to that $16,000 to $19,000 a year in taxable net income. Okay, that's how I do it. Now, I got my mortgage interest deduction, which is always around $7,000, but it doesn't really add up to a lot. So when it comes right down, I have no personal write-offs. I only make about $18,000 as me, as an individual, a year. But it's just enough money, because remember, I have no debt, no credit cards, no nothing. The only thing I have is a mortgage, okay? I have no car payments, nothing. So when they look at my income, and see, this is where the IRS can get you too, because of the red flag on your income. When you make so much income and you basically are not claiming everything. That's how they get you, guys. Don't do that to yourself, okay? You got to be smart. You want to keep your averages always the same every single year, or close within $5,000 or $6,000. When people say, "Why don't you grow your business? Why don't you hire a crew? Why don't you hire more employees?" I don't want to do that, because what happens is that you got this big spike in income. Excuse me. You get this big spike in income, and that automatically will set off a red flag if you don't have the right deductions to go along with it in the expense column for your business for that year. So if you get this big fluctuation, that's not good. It's okay to grow your business. If I was making $1 million a year, I would try to find $600,000 or $700,000 worth of deductions. But it's very difficult to do, okay? So, as an individual, an S corporation, if I keep in that $90,000 to $100,000 range, about $60,000 to $70,000 in write-offs and expenses, and then I use $20,000 to $30,000 in personal income, then I got my mortgage deduction of $7,000, I really only am paying 7% taxes on about $17,000, $18,000 every single year. So, that's manageable. I always stash $6,000 to $9,000 away every single year. 1 month's work to pay my taxes every single year. The next 11 months is free. Think about it that way. Hopefully this has been helpful. I know it's a little long-winded, but when you talk about money, there's no short answer, okay? You got to be smart. Do your homework. If you don't understand this, go take a math class in accounting or in small business administration or something. I did a lot of research over many, many years being in the car business. I was a finance manager too, as well as a car salesman. So I understand banking. and I understand how money works. And I use this to my advantage every single day, okay? So when somebody says, what will you bid on this job? Within a few seconds, I already know. I got to have $400 a day, $50 an hour, and I got to book 8 hours in one day. Then it makes me happy, okay? Hopefully this has been informative to you guys when you're running your own small handyman business, your own small business. And remember, hire a professional bookkeeper, and also hire yourself a professional CPA. And go out and get you commercial liability insurance. You will need it, okay? Don't mess around with that stuff. You know, I always say, you got to pay to play, all right? You know what to do, guys. Give me a thumbs up, leave those comments, send a link to your friend. Subscribe if you're not a subscriber. If you are, don't touch those buttons. Tom out of here. I'll catch you guys on another video. Hasta la vista.